Frickers in Fremont, located between Highway 20 and the Turnpike in Fremont for our show that we have every week, which is the Frickers Coaches Show. And, of course, we want to remind you it's $7.99 steak night. Of course, they have chicken specials as well with boneless wings and regular wings and then the chicken chunks on Thursday. So a lot of great deals. And you can ask your server about kids eating free as well. That's all here at Frickers, which they have a great staff, friendly service. Scott Logan, myself, Tim Boulware, joining you tonight. We're going to have a lot to talk about it's hard to believe we're 7 weeks through the season.
Wow. Where'd the time go? That's for sure. I mean, I remember we were talking about the county fair and heading off and then opening up with Tiffin Columbia, and then here we are, the first true week in October.
Yeah, and it's like going through a town that has only one traffic light. If you blink, you go through it. Right. Well, this season is that traffic light.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's been one of those years where it's been all the local teams, regardless of who you're talking about, they've all had their ups and downs this year and injuries and so forth. But it's been an exciting year so far for Fremont.
Yeah, and it's not only just football. I mean, homecoming this week for Fremont Ross, and then the volleyball team's in action tonight.
Yeah, volleyball team doing great. They're 14-3. I believe they're playing Lakota tonight. Maybe that's where.
Yeah, that's where they are.
Coach from Lakota, maybe he's even hanging out.
No, the coach is here. The players are elsewhere.
They're elsewhere. Yeah, and hats off, and they've got a great volleyball team with the Cahill girl and Hines, and of course Wolf and Fox and Smith, and it goes on and on and on. But they're exciting to see play. Obviously, I haven't seen them yet. I'll get a chance to see them next week play. But they're outstanding, and we're sitting on the top. We got to continue to win. So if they win one more of the league games, they'll clinch at least a tie.
Yeah.
And if they win them both, they'll get the championship outright.
Yeah, and that's exciting for the school, and we certainly look forward to covering that a little bit more in detail. We might have more on that for our Friday broadcast right here on Eagle 99. In the meantime, you look at where some of the teams stack up right now, and it's Columbia. They had a big win last week and against Clyde. And so they continue along, but Perkins is nipping at their heels. Perkins ranked second in the state. Second in the state Division 4.
Yeah, they're obviously on a mission. I mean, when you're scoring 81, 62, 59, 49, 31, 49 points, they're averaging. I'm not quick math here, but you're averaging almost 50 points a game. And they're not giving up a lot of points. It looks like Rocky River they gave up 28 points there, but against Clyde only scored 7 points on them. And last week, they played Edison, and a good Edison team, and that's now 6-1, and it was 49-14.
Yeah, Edison's just out of the top 10 in the state poll, so they are looking very good as well. Oak Harbor, Division 5, ranked 5th. They're still undefeated.
Undefeated, don't give up a lot of points, that's for sure. And it's amazing how many of the little schools, even around us here, that are playing great football. And that's Coach May, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, exactly right. And
playing good football.
Yeah, they're playing great football, and they had 230-20 at one point with outscoring their opponents. Wow. So that's pretty good. I would say that. Then Hopewell Loudon and Tiffin Calvert looks like they're going to meet up for the River Division title coming up at the final week. Of course, they still have to play 2 more weeks, but that would be a heck of a game.
That would be a heck of a game, that's for sure. It's the old saying, you got to, and Coach Long will probably talk about it as long as the other coaches, you got to take care of the football. We've been noticing that more and more as the year progresses, that the team, takes care of the football. They end up playing a pretty decent game and normally come out on the winning end.
Well, just look at Fremont Ross. Fremont Ross didn't have any turnovers last week. They forced 4. They win the game against Clyde.
And that's against, as far as I'm concerned, that quarterback, just my opinion, and I'm not a friend of Finley, no big deal, but good quarterback. I mean, very elusive,
Mason
can run, and those two guys are back another year. Next year, because they're both juniors.
Yep.
So it'll be exciting for the conference and so forth. But no, Fremont Ross, as far as I was concerned, being at the game, and I'm pretty sure that John Kern and John Cahill would say the same thing. They played their best football game, whether it's defense, offense, and special teams. And it was, I think, the best game that they played all year. And it was an outstanding game. And they had their backs against the wall. I mean, that kid can throw the rock, you know.
Well, I was afraid of one thing because I was not able to make that game.
Right.
And I was afraid I was going to get fired for that. Hey, we know the cause now of our problems.
Yeah.
So myself and Kevin McCarthy are on the unemployment line.
But no, great game. It was exciting. Fremont brought a good crowd, and it was their homecoming game, and they had a fantastic crowd, and Fremont took care of business. And a couple bad penalties here and there, but other than that, one did get recalled from a touchdown on, I believe it was a kickoff return or a punt return, is one or the other.
Well, they've had 3 of those this year.
Yeah. So, but you know, Sims got the ball one time on a kickoff and took the ball inside the 5, and a few plays later we were in the end zone, and before you know it, it was third down and the clock's running, and Oregon Clay needed some points, and they throw the ball, and of course, the kid from Fremont, I can't recall his name, the defensive back, picked it off and running for a touchdown. You know, as basically almost as time was expiring. So Fremont did a nice job. They did. Matt Shanahan. I think the kid's name was. Owen Shanahan. Yeah, I think Matt may even be his grandfather. But no, it was a good game. And hats off to Fremont.
Having been from these parts, you have to worry about the first names confusing everybody.
Yeah,
I don't. So being transplanted in.
True,
let's look at the football schedule. And then we're going to invite Coach Waring here for a few minutes. Sandusky at Clyde. It's going to be a 92-1 to Wolf. Columbian continues to move up the ranks. WTTF. Norwalk at Perkins on WLEC 1450 and 93.5 FM. And Lakota at Margaretta. We'll visit with Coach Mike Linto here in just a few moments. But we're going to welcome in Coach Waring. We're going to talk a few minutes with him about his team. Also, get a little bit of perspective for him about where they are. So we're going to grab him up. And, of course, this is the Coaches Show. A reminder that we're here every Wednesday night. We will have 3 more programs throughout the rest of the season, and which means the Week 8, Week 9, wrap up Week 9, then, of course, the playoff preview. And, Coach Waring, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. So you have Hopewell Loudon this week. Doesn't get any easier for you.
Yeah, awesome.
And after not playing 2 weeks ago,
right?
It's just nice to play. I would bet
it is. Yeah, it's just another opportunity that our kids get to play, and they're as good as advertised. I mean, they're number 3 in the state for a reason. So we know we have our work cut out for us, but the energy's been good all week, and the kids are ready to go.
What is it that when you look at this game, how do you try to slow them down?
Yeah.
Maybe you water the field before.
They run what we call a power running.
Okay.
And if we can stop that play and make them throw it, anybody, that's got to be their first concern is their, the power play. I mean, they run pretty much one play, and they run it very well. And so if we can, stop that play, then you have a chance for success. But that's not many people have done that. So, or any.
Yeah. Speaking of one play, it just drew me back all the way back to when the Packers played. The sweep right, sweep left. There is one thing that Coach Lombardi, boom, 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 boom. That's all they practiced until they got it right.
Yep.
And some of the teams, even in the area, I'm not saying they only have one play, but they have 3 or 4 different formations and running the same play. I don't know if there's much movement off of that, or they do a lot of. Can they throw off the same thing?
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Yeah, they absolutely can. Yeah, they've got. Yeah, they have complements to that play as well, and they've got great receivers. They're tall and athletic, which goes is a problem for us on the edges. So we definitely have our hands full. That's for sure. Anybody does. I don't care who they play.
Well, just out of the corner of my eye, I was asking you that question. I see Mike Leno. He's like a bobblehead over. Yes, you are absolutely correct. So that was kind of interesting. But, and it's glad. So not necessarily health-wise, but the sickness and so forth is past, and we're better. And
for the most part. I can't say everybody.
Okay. No, I got
we
you.
have some kids out this week. But, Yeah, for the most part, our starters are healthy, and
Good.
we're feeling better about ourselves as well. Got all that stuff out of the way.
Great.
Thank God.
Great.
So we're ready to go on Friday.
Awesome.
So with SJCC head coach Josh Waring, they get ready for Hopewell Loudon this weekend. And, we talk a lot about some of the things that are involved with your play and what you hope to do and where the long-term vision is. But, part of that, I'm curious to know, for the young guys, how do they improve during the offseason? Are there any summer camps you recommend? Are there any drills that you work with them on? Or maybe it's just developing a chemistry with their teammates, going out and going to the Dairy Queen or something like that. Sure. What are some of the things that you are going to tell these guys after the season to be able to develop the cohesiveness that you want to see for this program later on?
Well, with the small numbers we have, cohesiveness is not really an issue.
Yeah.
We have great team chemistry. We really do. I mean, the kids all love each other. They all get along. They all go do stuff together. So, that's number one. Number two, we have a weight room for a reason. And I know a lot of them play other sports, which is great, which they should do. But you cannot, during what I call the off season, your winter and spring sports, you still have to make a commitment to that weight room and the training program. I've got a training program that's, an inch and a half thick. And,
you can give that to Scott Logan after that.
Right.
He's trying to burn off a few pounds.
But, everything in there is for their success. But, you have to put in the work. Right? I mean, you just can't expect to, be better if you don't do anything. And so we have a regimented program ready for them to go.
Who inspired you to be successful? When you looked at it and said, I want to be involved with football, I want to be involved and help young kids develop their talents as a football player and as a student athlete, to develop them and to hopefully successful young men. But who inspired you to do that when you were young and playing?
Well, I mean, first name that came to mind, I go back to my high school days, is Coach Tom Narducci. I mean, he was a legend at St. Joe. Ran off 6 MAL titles in a row, and just his approach to the game, his discipline, his structure. That was one of them. Dearly departed offensive line coach Jim Bohr. I mean, he was a great mentor. I mean, he was a great coach. I mean, a great person to be around. He was definitely one. And my college head coach Jim Dennison, who was University of Akron coach, and then he coached at Walsh, and a lot of the same characteristics that Coach Narducci had. I mean, different coaches, different ways to approach it, but some of the underlying characteristics are the same, discipline and things of that nature.
What is the best memory you had as a player?
As a player?
Yeah.
Okay, so
What year are we going back to?
1998.
Okay.
October 17th, actually, I believe. So it was we were playing University of St. Francis, which is in
Pennsylvania?
No, it's in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay, there's two.
And
okay.
it was the first time we've ever played them, and it was the first time we ever beat them. It was the only time we ever beat them because they ended up going to Division III, where we went to Division II, and they've been in some championship games, and it was double overtime. We ended up getting down by about 21. We came back in the fourth quarter, and first play of overtime, after they kicked a field goal, so we had to score to win.
Yeah.
And it was basically a flood pattern, and I had a corner route as a tight end and caught it for 6, and that was the game.
Wow.
So that was and I still had that football in my office down at work.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So when you see that, and I know you want these kids to win so badly, what is it about that experience that you hope they get to take part in soon?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the big picture. The dealing with adversity. We're having fun, and they are.
Yeah.
They're having a great time. I mean,
good.
I'm doing things to make sure that they're having fun. I mean, who wants to be in the situation we're in and have a coach or somebody just yelling down their breath? You got to do this. You got to do that.
I'm not going to do
No offense, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the situation we're in.
Because isn't that the fear is that they could tune you out because if you
Agreed.
did that.
And everybody's engaged, and just even with our conditioning, we're having little competitions between people. I'll split them up in 2 groups, and we'll do different things with them, and they love it. Not that they love conditioning, but they love the competitive atmosphere. So so that's going very well. We had a great practice today, and so the kids, they like I've always said, they play hard, as hard as they can, and they realize and they understand that hard work and just grinding through the situation that you're in is the only way to come out on the other side.
All right, and so some of the kids with other sports, what sports are they playing?
Well, they'll play basketball and baseball, and some run track and some wrestle. So there's a great mix of different, types of athletes that we have on the team.
Is there any sport that, and I know you wouldn't steer a kid if they had a passion for it, but
Sure.
What equates best to football? Is it wrestling because of the body strength? Or
You know what? I was a basketball player, but I'll tell you, wrestling, just the one-on-one nature, the being able to move, you've got to have great body control and strength and stamina. I mean, because it's all go all the time. Basketball, you're running back and forth, and you've got some, ballistic things that you do and footwork. But I hate to say it, but wrestling, I would say wrestling.
I agree.
I would say wrestling.
Yeah. And how good of a basketball player were you?
Average at best.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe there was, maybe we could say that for another interview another time.
Sure.
It's strange that you brought up the wrestling thing. And
Yep.
I remember a friend of me telling me, you play 48 minutes in a football game, and odds are you're in a street fight, not literally, but for 5 minutes.
Yep.
Out of that. And that's what brought that the wrestling mentality, because a wrestler, I think, is 3 minutes.
Correct.
3 and 3, so that's
per
6
round,
minutes.
period.
So, and you're going, and you get a little break. Okay, one goes down, one goes up, and here we go. You're at it again. And that is just brutal.
Right.
And I'll take all the wrestlers I can get, because you know what? Odds are they got great hands, they got great feet, and they got good balance. Well, they're supposed to have good balance. But,
Sure.
no, it's just been one of those things where and there's been a few of those athletes go through this town and other towns. I don't care whether they went to St. Joe or Fremont Ross or anywhere in the area, but they've always had seems like to me that those combinations always seem to work out best.
I'm not disagreeing. We have, we've got, like I said, we have a mix of both, but they do a very good job for us. Wrestlers especially are, they have that balance, and that's for any athletic activity. Balance is paramount.
Very good.
Last question, Coach Waring, and do appreciate it. And talking, of course, SJCC head coach to get ready for Hopewell Loudon this week. The parent involvement. How has the relationship been with them? As not only do you have to have the players believe in what you're doing in your long-term vision, but the parents. So how has that coalesced in trying to help them see the bigger picture?
I have not had any problems with the parents. They've been extremely supportive. And even when we came off the field against Willard, who we got, smoked by, but we did some very good things. And I had multiple parents and even a former head coach come up to me and say, we really saw improvement that game. You can see the progress that they're making. And that made me feel, and they didn't have to do that. And, and that made me feel, tremendous about where, the direction we're going. In terms of parental involvement, I mean, every Thursday, one of the parents, whether, usually it's seniors, but we have so few seniors, we'll have a team meal, and they all get together and, decide who's going to do it and what they're going to do. And parental involvement's been.
And what do you have for that team meal? We'd like to know.
We've had everything. You name it, we've had it. So,
Oh, great.
I'm not sure what's on the menu
cooks.
for tomorrow. So.
We always love to talk about food
Yeah,
here. I mean,
absolutely.
we're Frickers, and that so we talk food often, but it's always nice to talk about anything extra. And those are the little moments I think with the kids and everything that I think is a lot. Now, who's the biggest jokester on the team?
Probably William Connell.
Okay,
All right.
why
And-
so?
and- yeah, why he never stops. I mean, I would say he never shuts. Yeah, he never shuts up. But and he's a very talented player. He's only a sophomore, and he's playing. He's started varsity the last 2 years, and but that's just his personality. He does. Him and Zach Crumnow. He's got a mouth on him too. So
Yeah.
but it's on lighthearted and
Sure.
it's fun.
Who has shown the greatest improvement for the beginning of the year to now?
Well, it's a freshman, and he's off hunting this week with his father and grandfather. but it's Anderson Gill, and he was a week late. You know, he decided at the very last minute to start up, but he's one of our better technical tacklers. And we've talked about this as a staff as well. So, wow, he's really improved. So, yeah, I would say Anderson Gill. And that's a name you guys have never heard. But, yeah, he's done a very good job.
Awesome.
And lastly, I'm trying to think who demonstrates the most school spirit.
As a captain of ours, Luke Danke, that you guys
Yeah,
talked
we
to
interviewed a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's Luke Danke. He's always positive, always putting the team first and the school first, and he has a tremendous amount of pride.
Very good. Well, very good. And I wanted to ask you some of these questions because
Sure.
we can,
I know where
it
you're
gets
going.
tough every week. It
Sure.
gets tough every week talking about the end result.
Understood.
And I know people look at math and everything, but you know what? It's those things that I think really do add up, and it personalizes the players, but also personalizes you as their head coach to see what might be down the line, and that's what we hope for. you know?
Absolutely.
All right, so Coach Josh Waring, we do appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck against Hopewell Loudon this week.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Good luck.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Take care. All right, we're going to come back with more. Mike Lento comes up next as we continue along with the Coaches Show from Frickers. We're going to talk a little bit about. You have to give me one moment to say the Raiders. All right, the Raiders. Coming up next here from Frickers and the Coaches Show from Fremont on Eagle 99.
guys, and I said this last couple of weeks, is SBC River is just it's probably, if you want to go see a great football game, see some good kids on the field, go to see an SBC River game, and so it's no slouch. And you've got, I think Calvert's up to I think number 9 in the state. You know, when you look at the rankings, and I think Hopewell's third.
Yep.
You know, so that's going to be a great Week 10 game. But you got Woodmore. They're getting better under Coach Schlee. It's just great, and you just talk to Josh Waring, and St. Joe's improved. I mean, it's a tough league when it comes into that, and so you get to the later of the season, teams start clicking, But we all have injuries to deal with. We've all got situations that we've got to deal with, whether it be discipline-wise and things of that nature. And so at our level, you may not have a guy who's just ready to go in and execute the way you want to do it. And so we're doing it this week. We've got some guys that, how do we simplify the offense? Kind of back to where we were at Willard. How do we simplify the offense, making sure our guys are ready to go?
Is that unusual this late in the year to say, how do we simplify the offense? Or do other teams do that?
It's not simplifying the offense. It's just making sure we can get our kids to understand what we want to execute-wise, if that makes sense. So we're going to still do what we need to do, but what are we good at, and make sure we get great at that and execute it, whether it be offensively or defensively. And so we're still kind of grasping of who are our best guys, especially when injuries pop up or any disciplinary things pop up, and we move forward from that.
And that's the big. I was just sitting here looking at Margaret, as you said about their schedule. Vermilion 3-4, Western Reserve, a good football team,
absolutely,
5-2. And they lost that game in overtime.
I could have made things simpler for you. There's a stat.
He's looking right on the phone.
He's probably got blown up on his phone. So
I can see it, being 60 years old now, it does, it's just the way it is. But no, it looks like they don't give up a lot of points lately.
Their guys, they're huge up front.
And Kuz and his teams, and traditionally in the past.
It's Coach Quiz, man.
It's Coach Quiz, yeah.
And they lost an overtime game. I mean, the Western Reserve game, the second week of the year.
Right.
I mean, if you look at a 4-3 versus a 3-4, I mean, that perception certainly could mean a lot of things.
And it's not just Coach Quiz. He's got a veteran staff over there with
him,
so they're seeing some things. And it's just, again, I'm still a young coach trying to pick up all those things, and we got a young coaching staff who is doing a fantastic job. I love our game plans going in every week, the way that we're coaching every single week, getting the best out of our kids. Couldn't be more happier, but there's some great coaching staffs all over the area, but really in the SBC, and I would say in the SBC River.
So I wanted to ask you about your kids, your players.
Yeah.
So give me a rundown of a few, because this, I understand they're at the volleyball game rooting on the school spirits for the girls tonight against Fremont Ross. But let's talk a little bit about the kids. And first of all, I got to talk. Normally we don't begin with a kicker, but Brandon Leal, I know he plays with the spots, but 42-yard field goal. So take me into that.
Listen,
that is good.
I'm so glad you guys brought it up, because I wanted to bring it up. Guys, we went for a 58-yard field goal, 57-yard field goal with him that missed by, I think, 2 yards or 3 yards.
Short or wide?
Short.
Okay.
I mean, it was every bit of, and if you watch film, I'm running down this is great, this is great film, this is all, and I mean, it was that close, and
wow.
And so it was a kid, he was in 8th grade, and a couple of his teachers came up to me and was like, hey, he's just playing club soccer. And so we went down during one of math class, Coach Brickner's math class, and it was actually Coach Brickner's wife, who's a history teacher, in the junior high. She's like, hey, listen, you should probably get, Brandon out. And so we took him out, and I pulled him out of class, and let's go. And so we took the whole math class out of Mr. Brickner's class and said, listen, let's have you just kick a football. And
how did it? What was the look?
Well, he's okay. And then we held it, and it was a thump, boop.
That sound.
The sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, listen, I need you. And so he didn't come out his freshman year. So last year was his first year kicking. He set the school record with a 43-yard field goal against Calvert. He's already set the school record, and we're going to let it run for most field goals in a season. He's going to have most field goals in a career. But he's a special kid because of his natural ability. And I know enough to be dangerous, so we're going to start looking at camps and things to get him involved. He's a very, very smart kid. But he kicked a 60-yarder in practice today.
Awesome. That would scare me if a coach said to me, go out there, let's kick the football, and I would be afraid to kick
Never kicking a
somebody's
football in
hand.
his life. Never kicking a football
Unless
in
you
his
had a tee. I mean, a
Yeah.
tee would be helpful.
Yeah, but coaches know that sound.
The sound.
I don't care if
I
you're
held in
playing-
college, and so the guy I
Yeah.
held in college for is now a kicker in the Canadian League. And so it's that same sound, and it's just like, okay, we got to get you going, and so he's a special kid for us. He's going to be a special kid in the area. We just got to get him some more exposure, being a smart kid, and so I think he's going to have, hopefully, if he wants it, a future for him, and we can go from there. But a great kid, great kicker for us. But again, we put pressure on our up front guys because there was a couple blocks that we've had throughout the season where, guys, you got to block up front. It's from the snapper to the holder to the kicker, but to also our guys stepping down to make sure we've got a great kicker. We've got a great kicker on our hands.
Got to give him
and
time.
we got to give him some time and give him some protection.
I think kicking is a lost art in high school. I can only count maybe like 4 or 5 guys, and I think for maybe a year, I maybe see 1 or 2 field goals attempted. I don't know where the colleges are getting them. They must be signing somebody because maybe more of them are going to soccer.
Well, and
players.
that thing is, again, it's more of like these camps that these kids go to, these exposure camps, and you get these NFL guys who run these camps, and they give them, I don't know, these rankings, and that's kind of where it comes out of it. And so I'm getting exposed to how this all works. I talked to Zane Cox today. He's at University of Louisiana Monroe. And I'm like, listen, I might need some help with this kid because I don't know how this whole recruiting process works for kickers. I need to be educated on it, and how do I get his steps better? And he's like, Coach, send me some film. And so Zane's been doing great with me, working just through social media.
Sure.
And so, and again, this is just talking about the camaraderie of football and just the Fremont area, and it's been great. But talking about our kids, I know it was supposed to be Lakota night, and I pulled them to the side on Monday evening, and I talked to them about, hey, listen, Wednesday we can go over. I talked to our captains. I go, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, Fremont Ross is coming over for.
Yeah.
And listen, it's so cool to have our kids go. We want to support our other teams.
Sure.
And we were talking about this 7 years ago when we got there as a coaching staff, and wasn't just the development that what I've seen our kids do to support our other sports has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm like, absolutely. I think what Ross is coming in at 14-3 or 14-4 or whatever on a 14-game winning streak. Our volleyball team is very, very good as well. There's a lot of great volleyball in the area.
Yeah, you learn that after timing when you start seeing social media and you go, what the heck's going on?
So I said, guys, go support and have fun, and we'll take care of it. I'm full of hot air. I can talk for a while. So
You never had a loss of words, Coach Lento. Final couple of questions for Coach Mike Lento as Lakota gets ready for Margaretta this week, and you can hear that game on 100.9 Coast Country. Let's talk a little bit about him and his leadership this year.
Oh, I mean, he throws just a great ball, and he's starting to see defenses. He's starting to see guys coming open, and so not having him last week, it hurt us. Not having him at quarterback, but it also hurt us because we had guys moving positions that they got comfortable at and put us in great situations. And it's just a crazy injury. We were going for a 2-point conversion, and he stumbles out of bounds, and he hits his hand on the track, and his finger explodes, and it was a freak. It was a freak injury, and but we got to step up. By wrestling season. He's a great wrestler, right? So we want to keep our kids healthy and get them rocking and rolling. So, he's out for indefinite, and hopefully we can get him back for wrestling, for our wrestling program, because we have a great wrestling program, and kind of tying in. And then, CJ Biddle, he had 16 tackles on offense this week because he's been out offense the last couple weeks. So, again, all those things, when we don't have a lot of depth. And so when you lose guys like that, it's kind of shuffling the cards, playing a chess match. But our kids are doing a great job stepping up. Our coaches are doing an amazing job coaching the guys up, and we like our game plan this week. So,
yeah, the field goal thing was kind of unique that I was hearing and so forth. And the big thing with that is that when do you take that player at such a young age, and you're starting to develop him, make the right people, make the right calls, especially to Zane, and that's like something that you're blessed.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing. I mean,
well, we sent him over to Clyde a little bit because Jerry Phillips is a great kicker over there, and Coach Carter. And we talked to those guys like, hey, anytime he wants to come over to our practice and get some work with Jerry Phillips and kicking and getting steps, and so a lot of just help in the area with our guys. I cannot talk about our camaraderie enough of the coaches that are in the area, because we really like. Contrary to belief, sometimes when fans or parents are like, yeah, we love our kids. We want our kids to be successful, and awesome. It's been great.
Great.
Well, that is awesome, and we really do appreciate you joining us. It's great that the kids are involved in rooting on the volleyball team, and I think that's just wonderful.
Our kids are awesome. I'll bring this up because I heard you asked Coach Moran, who's your clowns on the team, who's your biggest comedians. Listen, I've got our freshman group is phenomenal. Like, you talk about it being a freshman, like not a bad immature group, but like being a freshman is being involved, and our freshman group is amazing. And so I walked down the hallway today, and I've got a couple of our freshmen walking up, and I'm like, what are you guys carrying? I got, Coach, this is a cake, man. We made a cake for Chase Dussel. It's his birthday today, and he's a senior, and he's leading us, and it's gonna be awesome. We made him a cake. Now listen, these guys got a cooking show. Malcolm Conley and Max Nordhaus have a cooking show they put on YouTube, and I've seen some of the things they cooked. I'm like, now, there's nothing bad in there for you guys to eat, because we've got a game in 2 days.
Yeah.
And but listen, the sixth period, Chase walks in, and these guys are hiding. And I go, did you guys tell your teacher you were going to be in here right now? They go, all right, I'll write you guys a note. But Chase walks in. These guys jump out from behind the counter, and they're singing happy birthday to him. And
you should have heard our rendition 2 weeks ago.
We didn't sing too well.
But
Jay loved it.
Jay Cullen, yeah.
But these kids are awesome. They're having fun. It's what a camaraderie family's about. Really, it is. And our seniors are taking their freshmen on their wings, because we got playing freshmen. So just seeing what these guys are doing, and it brought great laughs today. And just like, okay, we're okay, we're fine. But let's go lock in, and we've got Margaretta this week, and we've always played Margaretta tough. Last year, we lost to them on a 3-second bomb to beat us. I think it was like I want to say it was like 18-13, and we're ready to go. I'm sure they're ready to go. Like I said, it's a playoff atmosphere for both of us, because it's a big win for them if they can get us being in the same region, and we're not gonna shy away from that. So we talked about it a little bit today to our kids.
Well, we appreciate your time as always, Coach Mike Linto, and thanks very much. Good luck this week.
No, I appreciate it.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
You bet.
We're going to continue along with more here from Frickers. We have coming up Ryan Carter from Clyde, and then Chad Long from Fremont Ross. A reminder, it's $7.99 steak night here at Frickers. You can watch the MLB playoff action as well. The Phillies get set to battle the Marlins in Game 2 of that play-in series. I don't know what they call for that round, but
play-in.
That's what it is. It's not
That's
the divisional round,
nope.
So it's the first round, whatever it is.
Best
so
of three.
We will move along. We have more coming up next as we roll along with the Coaches Show here from Frickers and Fremont on Eagle 99.
We don't use those words with our kids. And mindset is a huge thing for us. Not to get philosophical on you guys, but we are very big at Clyde High School, and our football program for about 8 years now has been very good big into our Focus 3 stuff. With Tim Kite, he just came and spoke to our kids last week, the founder of Focus 3, and it's all mindset as far as just getting a little bit better each day. Day by day, we have stickers that go on our kids' cars that say DBD 1%. Just get a little bit better each day. If we look at our kids and say, we got to win 1 or 2 of these last 3 games right now, it's not going to go well. Yeah. We're just going to tell our kids, hey, let's go out today, be a little bit better than we were yesterday, be a little bit better than we are tomorrow, and let's just keep plugging away at this thing. And I think that's the mindset you have to take. We try to live that. We come up short all the time. I'm not going to lie to you. I come up short in my life all the time as far as living that way. But we try to live that way. We try to go day by day, and we try to really have a positive response to events. And we call everything an event. Our starting safety went down on open kickoff. That's an event. So how are you going to respond to it? We didn't respond very well. We had some guys put their heads down and worry about that kid being hurt, not worry about themselves. So you got to choose a better R. You got to choose a better response if you want a different outcome. And that's kind of the way we live it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's kind of our daily life over at Clyde High School.
One last question, because it's interesting that you said that and this mentality and the psychology of it, because a lot of people see X's and O's and it's like, well, that must be a good coach. They know X's and O's. But what separates the psychology of motivating players to make a good coach a great coach?
I'm going to be honest with you. I was a basketball coach. I don't know the first thing about football. To be honest with you,
you've done pretty well for yourself.
And many
Coach.
many people will allude to that, especially nowadays in the stands that I'm calling plays. They're reminding me that I was a basketball coach to start with.
Hey, I'm a Browns fan. We can always call it better than Coach Stefanski.
Very true. But I'm going to tell you this: if you have player relationships, I think it's a huge thing. I think if your kids understand where you're coming from as a staff, and they respond to that, you got a chance. No matter what you do, X's and O's. I don't care if you're a wing T guy. I don't care if you're a spread guy. I don't care if you're a 3-4 defense. I don't care if you're a 4-3. I don't care if you're blitz. It doesn't matter. If you get your kids to buy into your program, they believe what you say, and they believe that you care for them and you love them, I think kids will run through a wall for you. And honestly, at the end of the day, this Focus 3 stuff has more to do with their lives down the road than it does with high school football.
What is Focus 3?
It's a founding group by Tim Kite out of Columbus. Urban started it, honestly, at Ohio State, and that's where I got it 7 or 8 years ago. And Tim has built a company that is all a mindset. E plus R equals O. I don't know if you've seen those wristbands, but your event plus your response equals your outcome. So you have an event. We have a number of events every single day. I don't want you guys. I could talk about this for days. I've given this speech to 2,000 plus groups. It's one of my things. I could talk about it for days. If you ever want to hear about it, I got a presentation. I'll send it to you. But every day you're full of events. You have a number. You wake up in the morning and the dog gets loose and you got to chase him down in the neighborhood. That's an event. How you respond from it is going to determine your outcome. And it makes sense in life, guys. If you buy into it and you understand what he's trying to preach, it makes sense in life. If you respond to that dog running away by kicking the wall and breaking your foot or saying the hell with it and running off and letting your dog run away and now your kids are upset, that's going to affect your outcome. And you just got to try to choose a better R. And if you choose a better response and you say, hey, man, life's full of events, we're going to choose a better R to get the outcome we want, to get the O we want. I believe in my own personal life that it's a beneficial way to live. My wife is our chairperson for Focus 3 at Clyde High School, and on our mirror in our bathroom every morning when I get out of the shower, it says, today I get to. She wrote it in shaving cream, so it's never leaving. She said today.
All
Today,
right.
today I get to. It's not that mindset of waking up in the morning and saying, I have to go over here and do this job. I have to go to school. I have to go coach football. I have to come to the radio show tonight. No, I get to come to the radio show tonight. That's a fortunate benefit of mine. I get to bring my daughter to the radio show. I get to spend some quality time
Yeah,
with
she
her.
wanted to do the interview.
Yeah. And she sat through this Focus 3 stuff. She sat through it many times, but she sat through it this week with Tim on at our middle school. And I know I'm preaching, I'm going on. You guys need to go to commercial break, but I'm telling you, this stuff is good, and we try to live it. I come up short daily. I fail all the time, but it's okay to fail. You just try to bounce back. You try to get a little bit better each day.
I have one funny question to ask. Nothing happened to your dog this week because he was bringing up as an example. I want to make sure that isn't practical. No, a dog's okay.
He runs off daily, so I have to choose a very, very good R to get him back daily, to be honest with you.
Oh,
You know, the nice thing is that's priceless. The next thing is you being a Clyde, as long as you've got a great blueprint, though. You know that, and you've had good people around you for many years, and you've brought good people in, and there's still a lot of good people with you, obviously.
You know, I'm going to say this, and it's one of the we've won a state championship under me, and we've been to the Final Four a couple times, and we've won a couple league championships, and we've been to the playoff every year. The one thing I'm most proud of at Clyde High School, to be honest with you, is the fact that when I started 10 years ago, this is my 11th season, when I started, I had the same staff intact for the most part. You lose a couple here and there.
Sure.
But the guys I've lost have been guys that have just went and did other things in coaching. It hasn't been a bitter thing to where I don't want to coach for him anymore.
Right.
So I have basically the same staff that I've had intact for a long time. And in high school football, with what we get paid, that does not happen very often.
Right. Very good.
And that makes me more proud than anything. My staff, I say it all the time, I have the best staff in the state of Ohio. They work extremely hard for minimal money, and I have 6 coaches on my staff that don't make a dime. They're volunteer coaches.
Right.
And at Clyde, Ohio, we feel like that's special. And we have guys that show up that don't get paid, and we feel like that's special stuff. So that is one of the most things that make me the most proud to be our football coach.
Coach Ryan Carter of Clyde, good luck this week against Sandusky.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
luck.
it.
All right,
Have a
we're
great
going to
day.
come back
You
with
bet.
Coach Chad Long here from the Coaches Show at Frickers in Fremont. A reminder, it's $7.99 steak night, but you can also get their other specials throughout the week, which includes chicken wings on Monday and Tuesday. They have the boneless wings. One of the nights are boneless wings. The other one are the traditional wings. And then on Thursday night, they have the chicken chunks, and they have great desserts here. I love their desserts here as well here at Frickers. More coming up next. Chad Long, we're going to talk big W from last week against Oregon Clay and look forward to this week's game against Sylvania Southview. More up next here on Eagle I hope that you can duplicate that for this week, because I would love to see the way that your team played last week to this week against Sylvania South.
Are you coming to the game?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I got a
I
text
told
on
him
that
about
from
that.
us, and said, well, I wonder if I got a job come next Friday. I said, I don't know.
Well, if it was a road game, you could have given me the wrong directions. But now, unfortunately, GPS kind of ruins that. now, Coach.
Okay.
But great game last week, and J.D. Moncrief, 213 yards, and the ability to control the game with your running game, especially with that effort. I mean, he had approached 100 in 2 previous games this year, but then to get 213, what was it about the running game against Oregon Clay that was working so well?
We did really well up front, and we were minus Caden Miley, so he didn't even play in the game. And I think our kids played very well. They controlled the line of scrimmage, and I'll say this: JD made some really good cuts, and what you saw on Friday this last week is exactly what we see every single day in practice. He just never put it together in a game, and we finally got a glimpse of what we expected from him all year. And 213 is nothing to be sad about. I actually thought he had more than that, but it ended up being 213 yards. And a lot of that is great blocking up front. All JD needs a little hole, and he can get through. And he got some very, very important thirds along the way on first downs, on third downs is what I meant to say, and that was crucial to keep the clock going. Our best defense was our offense, and our offense did a really good job controlling the line of scrimmage, even though they had 71 plays and we had 57, I believe. But it seemed like we were on the field a lot during the game, and like I said, if your offense can run the ball and eat up the clock, that's the best defense you can have against a quarterback that we saw last Friday.
And it gets to being very, very basic. A lot of people say, well, what's the difference for the team? And look at the stats. You come up with 4 turnovers, you don't have any. And taking care of the ball, does that resonate with players now, knowing that they take care of the ball, they can get results like that and get the W on the road?
Well, like the kids will even tell you, we beat ourselves. I mean, we play against ourselves, and no one has really beaten us this year besides, I would say, Perrysburg is the only team that really manhandled us. And in those 5 games that we've lost, we turned the ball over 16 times. So you're not going to win any games turning the ball over 16 times. And the 2 games we won against Sandusky and Clay, we didn't turn the ball over.
And one other thing I know that with Carson Caden, you look at it, 13 touchdowns, but he's had 12 interceptions. Is there an underlying reason for all those interceptions this year? Because I know that, everybody goes out there to want to take care of the ball.
Sure.
But the receiver runs the right route. Do you have the right read? Is there pressure on the quarterback? There's so many varying factors for that. Has there been one that you've seen in the film that addresses that?
Nothing extremely stands out to us. There is pressure. There's late timing on the throws. It's nothing. There's a lot of pressure on Carson. He's the next one to replace Caden Holmes, who's probably will be the best quarterback to ever come out of Fremont. And, he puts a lot of pressure on himself as well as the community, and how much pressure and the talk that happens to this young man. There's a lot of pressure built, and he tries sometimes to force the issue a lot on throwing and getting completions. But, a lot of times he's either sitting in the pocket too long or has to move out of the pocket and make some throws. There's so much that was involved with the 12 interceptions.
So how did you as a coach try to take that pressure off him?
Run the ball. You got to run the ball.
Yeah.
That's the
good.
easy way.
That's a good answer.
We were very simple this last week. We ran the ball. I think we threw the ball 12 times, 12, 13 times.
He had 12. He had 12
Okay.
pass, so he had 12 pass attempts.
And
he didn't even get 100 yards.
Rodriguez had 1. We threw the ball
Yes.
13 times.
Yeah, 13 times a team.
How do you solve that?
Run the ball.
Run the ball.
Wow. And, if they can't stop the run, then, as Woody Hayes used to say, I'd rather run than pass because, 2 of the 3 things that happen when you pass aren't good.
Well, I'll say this. Caden threw the ball 12 times. 3 of them were for touchdowns. if you get the people to suck up in the box, you have opportunities to pass the ball, less people to defend it. So that's the easy way, easy solution. It's not rocket scientist to figure it out, but if you can have a well-balanced, being able to run the ball, force them into the box, and you're able to throw, every coach would probably want that.
When he explains it this way, I actually thought I could be a football coach. But then again, wheel routes and all this, X's and Y's, maybe not.
So talking to you last Friday after the game, and I made mention that this I felt was your best all-around game.
Yeah.
I even thought it was better than the Sandusky game.
Yeah.
Because you controlled what I felt both sides of the ball. Your defensive line did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
And offensive line scattering people around, putting them in different positions, and asking them to step up and so forth. You did a great job. Tell us, what threw us off is all of a sudden we looked and we saw Sims and what's the other gentleman's name? Put him in outside linebacker, number 5.
Zaylen.
Oh, Zaylen Harris.
Zaylen Harris, yeah. So,
That was a mix-up. I mean,
that's a good mix-up.
Yeah, it was. We knew the quarterback was fast. I mean, we still missed like 15 sacks against him.
Oh, yeah,
he's just a phenomenal athlete. But these guys are faster than he is. So using Sims and using Zaylen and then sometimes sprinkling in Tykel into the mix with the D-line that's already fast as it is, we just wanted to confuse them. I spent a lot of time with a lot of different blitzes that we could run at them, and I still have probably 15 more we could have did, but we didn't do. But it was kind of a chess match. I mean, we just continued running. We used our speed with Zaylen and Elijah, and Elijah had one heck of a game on defense. He set the edge, took on these pole guys. I mean, it was a hard-hitting game, and we basically, I think, stuffed their running game. All the runs, I mean, they ended up with 80 yards, I think, rushing, and that was off
half
the
of that
scrambles.
came from the quarterback. Yeah, for sure.
I would say more than half of that came just from the quarterback himself.
Your run defense hasn't been the problem this year for the most part. It's been your passing defense. Is that improving as you head down the stretch of the final third of the year?
Yes and no. I mean, the Napoleon game, our run defense was not very good in that game. And we got some. We're putting some freshmen in the play. England on the field. We're getting Jackson Mackey on the field. Those are 2 freshmen that are going to be very, very good football players for us. Mason plays a lot of offense, and so does Jackson as well, and Phil and Rose. But I think we're getting better. I think simplifying and moving Elijah down as like a linebacker, outside linebacker position has helped our secondary in general because he's too aggressive to be in the secondary. So moving him there and then just taking and sliding Zaylen to the will backer has helped us a lot.
I'm going to give you the name that has impressed me very much. He is a sophomore. His name is Marquez Williams, D-line, 5'11", 200 pounds. I see him, and especially early in games this year, he has set a real tone. Now, I know that he still has a lot more experience to get, but comment a little bit on what you have seen from him as a young player.
His edge presence at defensive end he's fast. He's fast off the ball, probably one of our fastest kids off the ball. He still has a lot to work on. He's only a sophomore. When we say slant, sometimes he goes angle the opposite, and that's not, so that's why he doesn't get on the field as much as we wish because that will hurt us if he continues to do that. But he's continually getting better. Do you know who his brother is?
Now I'm going to be quizzed.
He plays for Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
Now you're challenging me on Bowling Green's roster.
Just so happened they beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
Dontrez Brown.
Okay,
Dontrez.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And there's a lot of similarities. I actually think Quez is better than what Dontrez was as a sophomore. He has a lot of promise.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about Sylvania Southview. I had a chance to watch them a little bit on Huddle and so forth. I think out of the next 3 quarterbacks you've seen, the superior quarterback is gone.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the Oregon Clay, the Finley, the Whitmer quarterback.
Yeah, we've been through a slew
You've been through
from Whitmer.
and from Whitmer. So you've been through that. But they do have a couple speed demons that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Number 1,
Number one, number two,
two?
number two, and number 13 is the big, tall 6'3" receiver.
Right.
So it is a nightmare. I mean, it really is. But having 5 defenders in the secondary helps a lot. You know, they do a really good job. They got one of the best running backs in the conference at running back from last year. And, you know, they do a good mix. They'll put 13 solo by himself, so at any time they can go one-on-one with him as a jump-up match. And then they take 1 and 2 and they put them and they run a lot of slip screens and so forth. And then they attack the seams a lot of times. And then they also screen a lot with the running back as well as he's a good runner. And the running back can run it.
You know, that's something, you know, especially some of the slip screens, we haven't done too bad. We've had our moments.
Knock on wood on that
Knock on
one.
wood, you know. But it seemed like there's not a lot of teams that do a lot of screening against Fremont. So, I mean, yeah, your little quick screen and so forth, dump the ball out to the side and split the 2 guys and hope for the best and so forth. But after watching them on film, it almost seems like that if you take care of those guys and you hold – I think if you hold the guy underneath 80 yards and the guy doesn't throw for 100 yards, I see you winning a football game. It's taking care of the football.
Well, as long as we take care of the football, we can play all 3 phases.
Right.
And I'll say this in the Clay game. We played well all 3 phases. And we got to replicate the same thing come Friday night against Southview, where it's going to be our homecoming, and we got a lot of alum coming back.
Sure do.
And, you know, we got to be excited. We got to have energy. We got to play with some pride. And that we did last week, and we'll see how we can follow up this week.
But from what I hear, let's see if we can get rid of the penalty on these returns, because it would be nice to have one that we call that actually stood, where we didn't have to look for laundry on the field.
Well, I mean, we've had five returns. And I'm going to tell you that last one, we were already past the 50-yard line, and the guy in the end zone comes waddling up and throws it. And we're like, what the heck?
Yeah, I don't understand.
So I don't know. But Elijah almost he hit a 75-yard return down to the 5. Again, I don't know why they keep kicking to the boys, but we're okay with it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you know, lastly, as we wrap up, Southview has a lot to play for in this game. I mean, they're 1-0. They win this game, they're 2-0.
Yeah.
And you know, I was looking at all the league standings. You know, you only have like 4 league games in most leagues, except for the SBC River, and then the NBC. They have many more league games. So, I mean, the motivation for them, what do you see? Okay, let's talk about your offense against their defense. What's going to be the key matchup?
Secondary. Their secondary versus our passing game. If I see a weakness in that would be their secondary. They're very vulnerable. I think their front 7 are very solid, very aggressive. 44 is a bruiser of a linebacker. He's also the tight end bump on offense. They got a lot of guys that play both ways, and just like us. But